Today's class is about operating ratio and operating profit ratio. Operating ratio shows the relationship between the cost of operations and the revenue from operations. That is, operating ratio is equal to cost of revenue from operations plus operating expenses divided by net revenue from operations into 100. Operating expenses include the indirect expenses that we include in the debit side of the profit and loss account. That is, office expenses, administrative expenses, selling expenses, distribution expenses, depreciation and employee benefit expenses. The cost of operations or the cost of revenue from operations include or exclude is determined by excluding the non-operating incomes and expenses such as loss on sale of assets, interest paid, dividend received. Dividend is the amount that is paid to shareholders from the profit. Loss by fire, speculation gain. Speculation gain is the income earned in the profit future. Operating profit ratio. Operating profit ratio is used to ascertain the operating margin, that is how much profit a company makes. Operating ratio is equal to 100 minus operating ratio. Operating profit ratio can be calculated in another manner, that is operating profit divided by revenue from operations into 100. Here operating profit is equal to revenue from operations minus operating cost, that is income minus expenses. We can move on to one problem. Here we have to find the gross profit and ratio and the operating ratio. Gross profit ratio, as you know, gross profit divided by revenue from operations into 100, or the gross profit divided by net sales into 100. So we have to find the gross profit. Here gross profit is equal to revenue from operations minus the cost of revenue from operations. Revenue from operations and the cost of revenue from operations is given. Inserting it into formula, 3,40,000 minus 1,20,000 gives 2,20,000. Then coming into our formula, gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit, that is that we have already found 2,20,000 divided by revenue from operations given in the question, 3,40,000 into 100. The result will be 64.71%. Then operating profit ratio. Operating profit ratio is can be computed by finding the operating cost divided by net revenue from operations into 100. Operating cost includes the cost of revenue from operations plus the selling expenses and distribution expenses. That is, all the expenses are included in the operating cost. Cost of revenue from operations already given in the question, that is 1,20,000. Selling expenses, administration expenses also given in the question. So the resulting amount will be 2,40,000. Then coming into our case formula, operating cost, operating ratio is equal to operating cost. Operating cost we have already found 2,40,000 divided by revenue from operations, that is 3,40,000 into 100. Resulting amount will be 70.59%. Then net profit ratio. Net profit ratio can be computed by it shows the relationship between the net profit and the revenue from operations. That is, net profit ratio is equal to net profit divided by revenue from operations into 100. Net profit is the profit after tax, or PAT, that is profit after tax. Thank you.